Assalamu alaikum. Surely I have turned myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright to he who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he. Of this I am commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, and there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So please grant me protection against all my faults. For none can grant me protection against all my faults but thee, and guide me into the best of morals. For none can guide me into the best of morals but thee, and turn away from me the evil and indecent morals. For none can turn away from me the evil and indecent morals but thee. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, here in the wilderness of North America, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful. For surely thou art praised and magnified. O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, here in the wilderness of North America, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham. For surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad. I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his last and greatest messenger. Amen. In the name of Allah, the finder and life giver, Allah, the deliverer and protecting friend, the forgiver and hider of faults, master of the day of requital, and guide to repentance, Wallace Farad Muhammad al-Mahdi the Great. I bear witness that there is no God but or beside Allah, who appeared to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the most humble and honorable Elijah Muhammad is the only true mouthspeak of and for Allah in this hour of judgment. In the name of these two guiding lights, Allah and his messenger, I greet you with the greeting words of the righteous. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum simply means peace be unto you. We pray the peace of Allah into you, though we're living in the time of world war, influenced by Satan, the mischievous bloodshedder. War and peace cannot successfully coexist, because war is fueled by falsehood, while peace is the result of established truth and agreement. Sun Tzu said in his book, The Art of War, that all warfare is based on deception. Who influenced the world to war against itself? Who taught the world that deception used during war creates confusion of the enemy, making the enemy vulnerable for attack? Satan, the mischievous bloodshedder, the son of perdition. See, we don't mean a spirit. We mean that blue-eyed Caucasian walking out there where you can see him. See, he's the man of sin, the arch deceiver. falsehood has triumphed for 6,000 years. The entire lifespan of the Adamic white race, but now must be removed in order that truth be reestablished in the earth. See, without truth, there could be no peace. Without truth, freedom, justice, and equality are all abstract ideas. See, truth gives these things tangible existence. A nation without actual land, government, commerce, economy, learning institutions, military, and program is a nation in theory, just an abstract idea, not a nation in fact, not a nation in truth. We are today living in what is identified by the Holy Quran as the day of decision. The world is warring because of this day. We're even warring within ourselves on deciding which way we will go. I mean, it's all out warfare within and without. It'll be a physical war. It'll be a mental war. It'll be a spiritual war. It'll be a economic war. We're talking about all out warfare. We are actually living in the change of the worlds. Everyone is warring. Everyone is opposite the other to see who will outlast the other. It's all about survival today. The world is warring because of this day. Whatever we decide, we should materialize it. Whichever way you decide to go, it should be a tangible experience. We should establish what it is we seek and be willing to maintain it. But just know that whatever we decide on or not is immaterial today. If we aren't mindful, we will die clueless. See, the will of Allah will be done. See, this makes for a most dire time, a most crucial hour. Truth and falsehood cannot coexist. Truth mixed with falsehood is a dangerous mixture, as is bleach and acids. See, Psalm 94, 20 and 21. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. See, verse 20 is a rhetorical question, but it's full of reason. The throne of iniquity is the methodical system of a biased, racist, corrupt, and wicked government ruled by the wicked. A people who, through the laws of their land, murder and oppress the vulnerable, especially the captives. The throne of iniquity is a wicked ruling system, using legal frameworks to shield their wicked works and true intentions against those they oppose or oppose them. The throne of iniquity are those gathered together or who are in agreement, united against the very breath of the righteous, which is the actual soul of us. So teaches Messenger Elijah Muhammad. He said during the theology of time, he said the biggest soul we have is air. If you deprive the man of air, then he's dead. He said you could come up here right now and start choking me on my neck. Soon you will have me so I can't breathe and I won't be talking. Remember Eric Garner? Remember George Floyd? Yeah. See, the messenger said that's the soul that they preach to you about in the churches. It is your breath. He said there's no such thing as a little man going out of your mouth and going to an unknown place. No. When you get to the point that you can't breathe the little man in, you don't be a little man yourself. See, that means death to that person. See, reading further, he said, you see the people drowning, and you see him standing up, the man, on his head, to run water out of his lungs. See, if too much water is in the lungs, which brings in the breath of life, then the man will expire because he has too much of it. That will kill him. See, there is no such thing as a spirit jumping out of your body going someplace. It's the spirit that can't come in, that keeps the man alive. See, no, we don't have a soul going out. It's the spirit that can't come in that keeps the man alive. See, we don't have a soul going out. It's the one we can't keep in. All praises due to Allah for the honorable Elijah Muhammad. See, the throne of iniquity is that government of people who are against the righteous, especially those who are swallowed up in their power, the captives. Captives in a land not theirs, where the innocent are murdered and their deaths are mocked and made fun of. See, a land where the innocent are murdered on video in real time by their law enforcement. See, they pull up on us today like they did in, the times past. They pull up with the chariots that made much noise and the prancing horses carrying these chariots in full speed. See, the prophets described them as jumping chariots. See, that's how they pulled up on us. They pull up on us like that right now today, jumping the curb with their lights and noisy sirens. See, woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots. See, Messenger Elijah Muhammad said the poor so-called Negroes in America often pray and they refuse to depart from America regardless of the evil treatment they receive. He said, though the whips and the clubs of their enemy are heard night and day upon their heads and backs, of the prey, the so-called Negroes, they still do not desire to depart from America. See, this is all facts. And it's been like that since we've been here. Now, obviously, something we either learning or not learning on this land is not activating that spirit of do for self, go for self, love self, depart from the enemy where you know you don't belong, where you know you're not wanted. Your grandparents wasn't wanted. Your parents aren't wanted. You're not wanted. So guess what? Your children, they ain't wanted either. See, we refuse to depart from America. America, where we are murdered in cold blood by their enforcers of their laws. But they make us to appear as criminals in their media before the body is even picked up. And the murderers are supported and revered as heroes. See, they shoot our sons, uncles, and nephews, then return to the hood soon after for photo ops of them shooting hoops with the sons and kin of those they murdered while in full uniform. They murdered Tyree Nichols right in front of us, as everybody saw the body cam footage of those enforcing their laws. We all saw it. The world saw the footage, yet the all-white jury favored the murderers. See, integration did not protect us. See, deliverance wasn't included in the package of integration. See, nothing was guaranteed through integration. Integration was only more legal framework from the throne of iniquity to shield their true intention, which was to swallow us up completely in their power, to have control over us, to dictate how we even procreate. See, now look at us. We don't think in terms of self-governance. We join our enemies and become predators of ourselves. See, whether we're gang bangers or police officers, we play the white man's game of civilization, influenced by Satan and his throne of iniquity, or directly empowered by the throne, so we wish a nigga would. Messenger Elijah Muhammad warned that integration would be the death of us. He spoke plain truth. Okay. January 7th, 2023, Tyree Nichols was murdered by the Memphis Police Department. See, I told y'all then that it really don't matter who wears the uniform. See, when they wear the uniform, they are bringing the iniquitous intentions of the throne of iniquity to the hood. See, the proof is the American flag that they bring with them. See, ain't no justice in it for you, black man. Not in that flag. How they pull up on Tyree? They pulled up in screaming chariots at full speed with the intent to kill. 2023 recorded 399 homicides for the city of Memphis. See, that's a bloody city. See, woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. See, the Scorpion unit of the Memphis Police Department, see, they robbed Tyree Nichols of his life and lied about it. 3 of these killers were found not guilty of all state charges by an all-white jury in a majority black city. Think over that. Ex-officers found not guilty of the murder of Tyree Nichols. See, acquitted. Because what y'all gonna do about it? Nothing. Not even mention it. See, that was a free kill. Huh? As far as the state of Tennessee is concerned. A free kill for some Negro cops who preyed upon and ate the flesh of their brother. See, the white man, he served them that black body just by allowing the Negro to wear his uniform, which is the carrying of the American flag to the hood, which is the carrying of the throne of iniquity to the hood. See, wherever you are up under that flag, you are but prey. The birds of prey swarm us. They swarm on us at will. And there's none to protect or prevent the sting. You say birds don't sting? Yeah, but scorpions do. The devil does. Huh? Why does Muhammad or any Muslim murder the devil? Huh? Lost found Muslim lesson number 1. Huh? Question number 10. See? Inside this answer, it is revealed that all Muslims will murder the devil because they know that he is a snake. And also, if he be allowed to live, he will sting someone else. See? They had to be murdered because they could not be reformed. Regardless to what religion we attach ourselves to, the devil, the enemy of God, and the righteous, regardless to what we call ourselves as believing people, the devil is the devil and was not made to exist forever. Messenger Elijah Muhammad said on page 32, a message to the black man: do not let anyone fool you. This is the separation and the war of Armageddon. See, he explained on page 210 that Armageddon is the final war of judgment and separation of the righteous from the wicked, of which he is sent to teach. See, that's what Elijah Muhammad is sent to teach. Why are you teaching something else in Elijah Muhammad's name? If you're not going to teach what Elijah Muhammad taught or teaches, then teach your thing. Just teach it in your own name or somebody else's. Don't attach it to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He had a job to do, and he stayed pure through and through. Everybody else's theology kept switching and changing up over the years. Elijah Muhammad remained consistent. All the evidence you need of who's true. Jesus said, submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. No, that's not Jesus saying that. That's James. That's the book of James. Pardon me. But he said, submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. See, submission to God summed up in one word is Islam. Islam means total submission to the will of God. See, resisting the devil means to shun him in all of his temptations. Not shun it, but shun him in all of his temptations. See, Holy Quran 16 and 36. And certainly we raised in every nation a messenger, saying, serve Allah and shun the devil. Then of them was he whom Allah guided. And of them, he whose remaining in error was justly due. So travel in the land, then see what was the end of the rejectors. That's Holy Quran 16. And certainly we raised in every nation a messenger saying, serve Allah and shun the devil. See, America is the most popular and powerful of every nation on earth. America is the most corrupt of every nation on earth. Allah says, we raised in every nation a messenger. See, if he didn't raise a messenger in America, then this verse is false. But the Holy Quran is 100% right. It's correct. It's right and exact. The most humble and honorable Elijah Muhammad said in the book, The Fall of America, read the Holy Quran and try and find something in there that is not true. If you think that you have found something, come to me, and I will show you and the world that it is true. See, the book says Allah raised in every nation a messenger. In every nation within the past 6,000 years, Allah has raised in it a messenger, saying the same thing James 4 and 7 said. Submit yourselves therefore to God. That's Islam. Serve Allah. That's Islam. See, these messengers said, resist the devil, or shun the devil. See, those are divine orders from Allah through his messengers. See, how do you know when that messenger is a true representative of Allah? He hears and he obeys. See, Messenger Elijah Muhammad wrote on page 41 of The Fall of America, he said, now we shun our enemy like we do a rattlesnake. When we see the rattlesnake or hear his rattler sing, we begin to try and seek cover from the rattlesnake if we are not able to kill. For we know his deadly sting. See? We know his deadly sting. So we try to take cover from it if we can't kill it. He said, but this snake, the white race, has overtaken us. And he has bitten us so many times that we have become so poisoned from his poison getting into our blood. from his sting, that it has taken God now to come to prevent the snake from continuing to sting us. Come on now. And Allah God, he said, has the cure for our being bitten by the snake. He will separate both of us from being involved with each other, so the snake's poisonous sting will not affect us. See, the scorpion unit pulled up, drunk off self-hatred already, stung Tyree, robbing him of his existence, as they assisted the devil in upholding the throne of iniquity and adding to the already bloody murder rate. Pepper spray stings. The taser, it stings. Scorpions sting. The devil stings. He'll sting you directly or indirectly through these black bodies with white heads. Those who look like us, but have the same intentions for us that the devil does. Exploitation and robbery. Deception and death. See, they are equally against the righteous. They are united against the righteous. See, the devil, the devil disagrees among themselves politically, but are united against the righteous as equals. See, the righteous contribute to their own oppression and captivity by way of labor, taxation, debt, and voting. Though the black vote could be cast or not cast, see, because white citizens are going to continue to win and continue to rule anyway. See, whether or not the black man and woman goes to the polls, the throne of iniquity will be ran according to the way of the heathen. Whether it's a white body or a Barack body, black body with white head. See, the iniquitous will continue to rule anyway and by their rules. The throne of iniquity is a false regime. See, and the war of Armageddon is a war, the final war that brings about this change in regime or regime change. See, regime change is it's a change in how the planet is going to be governed and by whom. See, this is a very dire time that we're living in. See, the terrible, through their laws, creates a terrible condition for us. See, they make the condition, they make the drugs, they give us the drugs to use and sell to one another. But when they tell the story, they don't say we sell the drugs to survive the condition they created. They say we sell drugs because we are born criminals. Regardless to our condition or circumstances. They say we are born criminals and this is why we do what we do. give it back to him. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. See, we become addicted to his drugs. We become addicted to the lifestyle of selling his drugs, to the point where we focus no more on the condition and who created it. See, just let me get high and let me count a check. Nah, run it back. Run him his name, his church, religion, his diet. See, Allah is the oft returning to mercy. The devil is the oft returning to misery. What the brother saying on Amistad, give us free. See, that dog came with integration. Talking about that heroin. That yay came with integration. Talking about that crack. And that celebrity. See, all of it. See, the idea to sell and use came to all of their hoods and projects. See, we just so happen to be the residents occupying the areas by that time. We didn't own not a block. It was theirs. We was just displaced and scattered throughout the wilderness of North America. See, Cleveland didn't have projects since about 1937. Morris Black Projects, my neighborhood, was built by CMHA in 1942. See, the inner cities were mostly white at that time. But the Great Migration started around about 1910 up until about 1970. See, that's when about 6 million of us fled the South looking for something better in the North. You know, in the Midwest, everywhere else but the South. Messenger Elijah Muhammad married Sister Claire in 1917, and they too relocated from the South to the Midwest in 1923. My family started coming up in the late 40s. See, that trend began in the 1910s up until like the 1970s. Messenger Elijah Muhammad had a divine mission. But that trend called the Great Migration, it began in the 1910s, you know, all the way up into the 1970s. See, the white man responded with what they call that, white flight. That was his response. See, that was that mass movement of white middle-class Americans fleeing the inner cities for the suburbs. See, that itself was a decade-long trend from the 50s until like the 60s. So by the 70s, up until the early 80s, when I was born and growing up, there was no evidence of a white man or woman having ever lived on or near or even visited 110th and Woodland, with the exception of about 3 senior citizens on my street. And they literally never came out the house. You know, Ann did. You know, she visited my grandmother from time to time. Other than that, though, there was no evidence of white folks ever living there, or any evidence or of the concern of any white folks. Not for that hood or the community members of Buckeye Woodland area. There's no evidence. See, crack hit the hood about 87, almost 30 years after white flight. Now that's a whole generation. At that time, I wasn't even 10. See, 7 years after it hit, I was selling it. Before the decade of 87 to 97 concluded, I and many of my peers were already in prison. Not DYS, but the penitentiary. See, seeing the effects of what it was doing to us and our families as children, it didn't prevent us from growing up and selling it to our parents. But peep the play. Now, I have no recollection of the Carter era. Jimmy Carter served as the 39th U.S. president from 77 to 81. My earliest memories go back to 83 during President Ronald Reagan's term. See, he was the 40th United States president. He served from 81 to 89. See, he served 2 terms, actually, 2 consecutive terms. Now, I remember the Reagan era very well. I remember his food stamps, his cheese, his butter, his peanut butter in the can, and his pork in the can. See, I remember hunger. I remember want. But I remember this being the norm for the hood. Everybody was just getting introduced to crack cocaine at the time of his first term. But by the end of his second term, 1989, crack cocaine was everywhere. See? Everywhere I went, I either saw it laying out, saw it being sold, or smelled it being smoked. In 1986, under President Ronald Reagan's under his administration, Congress passed the Anti-Drug Abuse Act. Now, this bill made minimum prison sentences mandatory for particular drug offenses. See, it mandated longer prison sentences for cases involving crack than it did for cases involving powder cocaine. See, remember, we're talking about a people and how they rule. We're talking about the throne of iniquity. We're talking about the blood of the innocent being condemned by enemies and predators of our people. We're talking about a people who, through legal frameworks of law, they call slavery, suffering, misery, bloodshed, mischief, and death. A people who are divided politically, but are gathered together against the unsuspecting captives. We all know powder cocaine was the choice of white folks at that time, while crack cocaine had every hood in the chokehold. See? And this is shortly after they fled to the suburbs from those same areas. They were giving us, black people, they was giving us 5 years for every 5 grams of crack cocaine. Mandatory. Now that's 2.5 grams less than a quarter ounce. White folks was getting 5 years for 500 grams of powder though. Now, I ain't pay too much attention to 41st U.S. President George H.W. Bush's era. Because from 89 to 93, I was already used to it. But I did begin to realize that there wasn't too much money inside. And if I wanted some, I had to go outside to get it. By the start of the Clinton era, 93 to 2001, I was already out there. I jumped out there at the end of the Bush era. And 3 years after the start of 42nd U.S. President Bill Clinton's term, I was in prison. See, jumping out there, I learned, is the equivalent of jumping into a lake of fire. See, it's easy to do without guidance. It's easy to make wrong decisions without proper guidance. Out there is hell. Out there is hell. We raise our children one way on the inside, then we send them to the schools on the outside, and when they come back inside, we don't know them anymore. See, out from there is where we fish our people in from. We fish them in from a lake of fire. I was fished in from the lake of fire. See, this is the day of decision. We can decide to conform to truth and righteousness, or continue to combust in falsehood and wickedness. Conform or combust. You decide. See, we the ones burning. The fire goes out when we put it out. Every time we fish another one of our people in, that's one less giving fuel to the flames. The Holy Quran says the contents therein is men and stones. See, we could leave the stones. Let's render that to Caesar. When I sold dope, we called them rocks and then stones later on. But we can leave the stones, the rocks, and the bricks in the fire. Let's just fish the burning of our people out from the contents therein. In 1994, President Clinton signed into law the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994. See, they spent almost $10 billion on prisons, $6.1 billion on prevention programs, and more funding for 100,000 new police officers. See, this bill included mandatory death sentences for the killing of police officers. See, that what happened in Cincinnati, they don't want that to become a precedent. They don't want that to become the norm. They don't want that to become the typical average response to disrespect of our people and our children. They've been preparing. We don't get mandatory death sentences for killing our women and children. We don't get that kind of justice. See, that infamous 3 strikes law, where your third felony resulted in a mandatory life sentence, came out of this bill. They spent a total of $12.5 billion on that bill, encouraging states to build more prisons. This ain't the land of the free. This is a cage. They spend more to cage you than to keep you free. This crime bill of 1994 interacted with Nixon's war on drugs in 1971. He said, in order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive. See, it's a known fact that President Richard Nixon considered blacks as enemies. See, the war ain't on drugs. See, they manufacture drugs every day. Mm-mm, mm-mm. The war on drugs is a war on black people. See, drugs are weapons used against black people. Even when you sell them, you are firing the weapon at your people. On their behalf. His war on black people beefed up arrests, surveillance of the hood, contributing to mass incarceration. The 94 crime bill interacted with Reagan's anti-drug abuse bill of 86. It also contributed to mass incarceration. These bills were never about incarcerating individuals. They were always about incarcerating entire social groups, black people, to get them up out of the land, to remove them from society, from social equality, but still profit off of them. Clinton said one of the reasons why he even sought the presidency was to get that bill. See, that 94 crime bill was the largest bill in the history of the United States. I recall Mr. Clinton's crime bill because I know Ohio Senate Bill 1 of 1996 interacted with that bill. See, Senate Bill 1, it dealt exclusively with juvenile offenders who commit crimes using firearms. It was basically a bind over procedure where such juveniles would have their cases transferred to adult courts. See, I remember this vividly because I'm one of them juveniles. That bill caused another spike in the incarceration rate. See, sometime in the 1940s, the incarceration rate was about 100 per 100,000. Today, it's about 700 per 100,000. See, that's more than Germany, France, Canada, and England combined per 100,000. Revelation 18:2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, in the hold of every foul spirit, in the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. See, once the home of the Indian, but is now become the habitation of devils. See, the United States is that hold of every foul spirit and cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Devils and predators. Per 100,000 back in 2010, black men were incarcerated at 2,200, while whites were at just under 400. Now that's 1,800 less than us. From the late 70s on up through the prison boom of the 80s and 90s, if you were black with little to no education or a dropout, there was a 70% chance of you doing state or fed time. See, this is terrible. A 70% chance. They planned this before you was even born. President Joseph R. Biden was once one of the primary architects of the Sentencing Commission. He said, do you know what the basic premise of the Sentencing Commission is? He said it was the first time in 80 years they rejected the notion that the conditioning of sentencing must be related to how long it would take to rehabilitate. He said, I'm the guy that said rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and we don't notice it. And even when we notice it and know that it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. Think over that. Take me a sip of this water. You see the double speak? You see the forked tongue? This is Joe Biden. This is another one of those devil rulers that black folks was willing to fall out with their family members if we didn't vote for him over the other fella. But what do we really know? We know that he's the guy that said rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and we don't notice it. And even when we notice it and know that it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation of a condition for release. Wow. So if it's called the Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, he's saying even if you're rehabilitated, that's not a good enough condition for your release. He said that's why in our system, the federal system, you serve 85% of your time. See, he said this in 1993 to Congress, pushing for the crime bill in 1994. The West Virginia senator has said the signing of the bill was a historic moment. You know, President Clinton said the same thing and called it smart. See, it was historic for them, but prophetic for us. Exodus 1:10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out the land. Well, war has indeed fallen out. The War of Armageddon. It's been on since 1914, ever since the time of the Great Migration. See, that's why the question is asked of you. Which of these two will survive the War of Armageddon? Asking, whose side are you on? Look at the actual facts board. Study it. They on the left. Their enemies are on the right. They're doing everything in their power, politically and otherwise, to prevent you from joining on to your own kind, who they deem their enemies. That's right now, y'all. The 1994 crime bill, see, that went at the parents. Senate Bill 1, see, that went at the children. See, no more of that locked up till you 21. Give them 21, 31, 41, 51 years in prison. I know brothers with these same sentences who came in when I went in, but are yet incarcerated. All praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Nixon's campaign for the presidency and his White House, once he was elected in, was centered around eliminating two enemies: the anti-war left and black people. See, that means black families. See, that means the future of black families. See, the white man's drugs devastated our families. The white man's laws produced mass incarceration, and that too devastated black families. That's why God said 400 years before the gospel was even revealed. That's why God said, I will send you Elijah. That's why his job is to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the heart of the children to their fathers. The white man, with his laws and legislation, would separate us. He would separate the child from the father. See, these are the verses of the book that makes manifest Holy Quran 28:4. Surely Pharaoh exalted himself in the land and its people into parties, weakening one party from among them. He slaughtered their sons and let their women live. Surely he was one of the mischief makers. Isn't it interesting that in the beginning of what would become the United States, there were three people in the wilderness: the African, the native, and the European? Isn't it equally interesting that the white exalted himself in the land above the two parties, black and red? See, they slaughtered the red man, decimated them, men, women, and children, pushed them up out the areas of the land that they desired for themselves. See, put them on reservations and never cared about that crime against humanity. The red man is still connected to his past via language and culture. See, the black man was murdered, breeded, cut off from his past, stripped of his religion, his culture, his language, his name, his clothes, his shoes, his property, his heritage, and families. See, the need for the raising up and sending of Elijah to reconnect us before Allah retaliates against this devil for his crimes against humanity the world over. Yes, Elijah, Muhammad, he's a mortal, just like you. No magic tricks, or healing power in his hands that the preacher or pastor claims to have. Just wisdom, supreme wisdom. Holy Quran 41:6 say, I am only a mortal like you. It is revealed to me that your God is one God, so keep in the straight path to him and ask his protection. And woe to the polytheists. See, the polytheists are those who believe in multiple gods, like Christians who believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. See, Malachi 3:1. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple. Even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. See, Malachi means messenger or my messenger. Malachi 4 calls this messenger Elijah. Is the predatory captor of the captive. The mighty has a grip on the prey. It takes one with the master grip to free the captive prey. He comes in person to do this. But thus saith the Lord, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contend with thee, and I will save thy children. That's Isaiah 49. See, the Lord tells us right here that he's going to do this. The Lord tells us that he himself is the savior of the children. See, he's the finder. He's Allah, the life giver. He's Allah, the deliverer. He's Allah, the protecting friend. He's Allah, the ultimate keeper of promises. Holy Quran 30:60. So be patient. Surely the promise of Allah is true. And let not those disquiet thee who have no certainty. See that question mark on the board? Think over that. See, this is confirmation of the promise of Allah. Right? This is also a direct order from Allah on dealing with the confused. See, those who are clueless today, those who have heard the truth of thy Lord from the mouth of his messenger, but are yet clueless, undecided, mere rejectors, or have gone astray. See, don't let these ones agitate or cause you to worry or become uneasy. See, don't allow them to disquiet you. See, because the promise of Allah is true, and they have no credibility with Allah. So be patient. See, they come telling you about somebody else, but they themselves ain't even following the one they pointing you to. See, misguided and confused. This is the day of confusion. So they're on time with their foolishness. Be patient. The promise of Allah is true. See, Allah made a promise to Abraham. Know of a surety that thy seed will be strangers in a land that they have no stake in. They won't be shareholders of the land, but instead will be sharecroppers, slaves, prominent servants, and prey. See, know of a surety, Abraham, that for 400 years your seed will be the prey of the devil in the land of the iniquitous. But after that time, I will come. I will save thy seed, the children. I will save thy seed, but I will also judge the throne of iniquity, thereby delivering the prey from the hands of the terrible. This means war. The terrible does not make it out of this war alive. So deliverance is offered, black man. Deliverance from the likes of, say, Nixon and Reagan and Clinton and Biden. Huh? See, they're preying on us, but you're praying for them. Biden has cancer, so you rush to say a prayer for him. The same one who considered you and your children predators. Now, how backwards is that? They prey on you and you pray for them. They are predators of us, but call us predators of them. Backwards, disingenuous, falsehood, hypocrisy, lies, more lies. Biden said the consensus among them is this. Well, consensus is a general agreement. But he said of us that they must be taken off the street. The streets that they fled back in the 50s and 60s. He said this is a general agreement among them on that issue. He said it doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter whether or not they had no background to enable them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they are the victims of society. Huh? He said, I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. He said, unless we do something, we, being him in the throne of iniquity. He said, unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscious developing, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally had not had the opportunity. He don't say, let's correct that. No, that ain't what he said. He said, we need to take them off the street. He said we should focus on them now. See? See? We should focus on them now. Focus on who? The youth. The sons of the already poor, despised and rejected. He just described the poor, despised and rejected. He's saying we need to focus on them now to get them out the land. We have a plan to do this. It's going to take a few dollars, but it's worth it because we know the time and they don't. This is what he's telling them. See, and I mean, while standing in the House of Congress, gathered together against the soul of the righteous and condemning the very blood of the righteous, plotting on our future. Joe Biden basically said, come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. See, spending $12 billion to build more prisons and fund 100,000 new slave catchers will absolutely prevent them from procreating. Huh? In his plea for the crime bill in 1994, he said the end result of these poor, despised, and rejected ones is that they are about to knock his mother over the head with a lead pipe, shoot his sister, beat up his wife, and take on his sons. Though he has a son who can outsmoke any dope fiend in any hood in regards to crack cocaine, but he says this, as it is written of them. See, Holy Quran 69 and 18, see, It reads, on that day you will be exposed to view. No secret of yours will remain hidden. See, I keep telling y'all this is the day of manifestation. The Son of Man is revealed today, and so is the man of sin. Huh? On that day you will be exposed to view. Think over that. No secret of yours will remain hidden. See, Jesus, he acted on this too soon, and he paid for it with his life, his innocent blood. And it come to pass that they fight against us. See? He said, I don't even want to ask what made them do this. Although he told us exactly why. They created it. And it come to pass that they fight against us. So they came to pass crime bills against us. He said they must be taken off the street. We must get them up out the land, up out of society. Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. The War on Drugs, the Anti-Drug Abuse Act, the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, and Ohio Senate Bill 1 are all launched offenses toward us. See, this is so important because it explains why we are where we are in this land under their flag and under their legal frameworks of mischief. See, my generation is the generation of the dope fiend they created. The current generation are the children of us who sold dope to our fathers. See, they are without guidance because their fathers were either murdered in their youth or given 50 years as a teenager. Shout out to my brother Giovanni, 48 to life. Shout out to my brother Deshaun, 18 to life plus 10 to 25, ran wild. See, we all began these bits together back in that time. I've been home 18 years, they still bitten. Elijah's job is to correct this. Elijah's job is to turn the hearts of the children back to the fathers and the hearts of the fathers back to the children. Both of these brothers got children out there. May Allah be pleased with Los and Bug, childhood friends we lost in the early 90s, early and mid 90s. See, we needed guidance and prevention, but divine guidance and divine prevention. That $6 billion they spent on prevention only prevented us from multiplying or procreating. They are in complete opposition to the seed of Abraham. Who carries that seed? The black man in America. That's why the orders are to kill the son and spare the daughter. In every commercial you see, all on YouTube and on TV, the black daughter is in the commercial with the slave master's son. The black man in America is the seed of Abraham. His seed will be made slaves in a land not theirs and would serve the Christian slave owners for 400 years before God comes to liberate them. So this is a message to the black man in America, because the black man, being the ex-slave, is yet in a land not his. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? Of course not. This is the day of separation. They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. Jesus told you, wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. The great seal of the United States is the bald eagle. When they gather together in the House of Congress to pass laws on crime and drugs or whatever else have you, they are framing mischief with law that plots the death or prevention of multiplying in their land. You are the carcass, black man. They are 100% against you living. Messenger Elijah Muhammad said, the God of freedom, justice, and equality desires to take over in his time and not before. This is his time to remove the burden of suffering and mistreatment under the law of their own courts from the shoulders of the people. Master Pharrell Muhammad is that God. He is Allah in person. And these are, according to the Holy Quran, the days of Allah. He declares, the prey for the terrible shall be delivered. Assalamu alaikum.